Good evening, Mayor Robinson. We are good to go. And while I was doing the tech, I had also noticed that Councillor Herbert has now joined us.
Thank you very much. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the West Grey Council meeting for April 19th, 2022. I'm calling the meeting to order under item number 1. All members of council are present, with the exception of Councillor Shea, who has indicated regrets for tonight's meeting. There is a quorum for this meeting. A Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer, at this time, could you please explain the electronic features for the meeting?
Yes, absolutely. Before I begin, if at any point you get disconnected, you can dial 1-647-558-0588 and enter the meeting ID for this meeting, which is 847-6109-3158. Both members of council and staff have been briefed on the various features of the Zoom meeting software and will be raising their hands physically on camera to speak. Public participation, if any, must be done through the Zoom meeting software, as this meeting is being held in 2 locations, both on Zoom and YouTube. For members of the public, if you require any technical assistance for the duration of the meeting, you can send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer, and I will attempt to assist you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, moment of reflection. If you choose, please take a quiet time. Thank you. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Members of council, is there anything to declare at this time? Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have submitted the necessary documentation to the clerk regarding item 11.2.1, Veterans Banner Program, as it involves the Durham Legion, and I'm a paid member there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other member of council? Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. So I'm declaring an interest on item 10.1.2, Durham Agricultural Society request for funding, as I'm a paid member of the society. Thank you.
Okay. I've noted that. I too have a conflict, an interest with regard to 11.2.1, which is in regards to request for support Veterans Banner, as both my husband Scott and I are paid members of the Durham Legion branch. So at that time, I will be transferring the chair to Deputy Mayor to address that particular item. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands up. So item number 4, delegations presentations 4.1. We did have a delegation today. However, we have notice from Brian Lenny that he is not able to attend. The delegation has been rescheduled to June 21st council meeting agenda. So we're now moving on to item number 5. That's public meetings. It is an NA for this particular agenda. Item 6, comment period. In accordance with the West Grey procedural bylaw, comments may be made to council with respect to a specific agenda item. A maximum of 2 minutes per person is allotted for comments, with a maximum of 10 minutes in total for the comment period. Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer, could you please assist in determining if there's anyone that wishes to participate in this item?
Absolutely. It should be noted, as was at the beginning of the meeting, that public participation, if any, must be done through the Zoom meeting software and cannot be done through YouTube at this time. For members of the public wishing to speak at this portion of the meeting, you can do so in a variety of ways. The first being, if you have joined us via phone line, you can press *9 to raise your hand, and that will let us know that you would like to speak. Alternatively, if your hand has been raised in error, you can press *9 again to lower your hand. The second option, for members who have logged in to the Zoom meeting software, you can either send a chat message to myself, Cody Hewlett, Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer, stating either that you would like to speak or what you would like read into the record on your behalf, or you can raise your hand, which is typically located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen by either a blue or yellow hand icon, typically under the More options. Just taking a quick review of the dashboard as well as my chat. I am not seeing any members of the public wishing to participate in this portion of the meeting.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, unfinished business. For this particular agenda, that is an NA. Item 8, adoption of minutes. 8.1, April 4, 2022 public meeting. Any comments on this one, members of council? 8.2, April 5th, 2022 council meeting. Any comments? 8.3, April 5th, 2022 special council meeting. Clerk Sharbeck to the recommendation, please.
Through you, Mayor, the recommendation is that the minutes of the public meeting of April 4th, the regular council meeting of April 5th, and the special council meeting of April 5th, 2022 are hereby approved as circulated.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder? Councillor Townsend. Questions on the motion, council? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor. The motion is carried. Item 9, committee and board reports. 9.1, West Grey Economic Development Advisory Committee, March 21st, 2022 minutes. Any comments? Clerk Sharbeck to the recommendation, please.
Through you, Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that the minutes of committees and boards are hereby received.
Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hamilton. Is there a seconder? Councillor Hutchinson. Questions on the motion? All those in favor indicate with a raised hand. All those opposed? Councillor Hergert, are you in favor or opposed? I could not tell when you raised your hand.
I am in favor, and I hope I was able to be seen as a raising and in favor.
Thank you very much. So 6 members of council have voted in favor of the motion. The motion is carried. Appreciate that. Item number 10, correspondence. 10.1, items requiring action. 10.1.1, Steve Wilson, request to purchase municipal lands. So here's council, we're looking for a motion if there is direction to deal with this item. How does council wish to deal with it? Councillor Hamilton.
Thanks, Mayor Robinson. That council hereby directs staff to report back to council on this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Sharbeck, could you read the motion, and then I'll look for a seconder.
Through you, Mayor Robinson, moved by Councillor Hamilton, that council hereby directs staff to report back to council on this item.
Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hutchinson, questions on the motion? Councillor Hergert?
Sorry, maybe there's a bit of a delay. I actually was willing to support. So maybe there's a bit of delay in my video, but I'll wait for the vote to be called.
Okay, if there, all right, thank you very much. So is there any questions on the motion? All those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of the motion. The motion is carried. Item 10.1.2, Durham Agricultural Society, request for funding. How does council wish to deal with this motion? Pardon me, request. How does council wish to deal with this request? Is there a motion? Councillor Townsend.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I would like to move a motion that we actually approve the request for Durham Agriculture Society.
Could you please state the amount, Councillor? Is it as it's requested in the correspondence on page 52? Could you just identify what your motion is?
Yes, it is the amount that they requested. I'm just double checking that.
Okay, please do. I think it's on the last line for 2,500, but if you could identify that,
Yes,
it would be appreciated.
Yes, that's the amount, 2,500. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Sharbeck, could you please read the motion back, and then I'd look for a seconder.
Through Mayor Robinson, Moved by Councillor Townsend, that council hereby approves the request of the Durham Agricultural Society in the amount of $2,500.
All right. Councillor Townsend, is that your motion?
Yes, it is.
Is Councillor Hergert, are you seconding it?
I will second it. I am asking for some clarity about where that money is coming from. Is that out of the grants to organizations?
One moment. Director Mighton, could you please respond to the inquiry?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, grants to organizations, that will leave you a balance of $2,000 for any requests for the remainder of the year. We had given $1,000 to the Newstead Normanby Carrick Ag Society and $500 to the Southbridge Grey Literacy Council so far, as well as 2 hospital foundations. So you have $4,500 left. So with this request, if you approve it at $2,500, you have $2,000 left in that grants to organizations for the rest of this year.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Hergert?
No, thank you very much.
And have I confirmed that you are the seconder still? Councillor Hergert, are you the seconder for this motion? I think Councillor Hergert's screen has frozen. I just want to double check. Can members of council hear me? Okay, that's fine. Clerk Sharbuck, one moment. Councillor Hergert, have you joined us again?
Unfortunately, I am having some internet quality issues tonight. So yes, I'm here. And I'll just take my video off until we get to votes, please.
Thank you. And I'm confirming that you are still the seconder for this motion?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'll now go to questions for Councillor Hutchinson.
Yes, I'm just curious, maybe our Director of Finance can tell us how much we've given in the past to the Durham Agriculture Society?
Director Mighton.
Yes, through you, Mayor. I believe we've traditionally given $500 to the Ag Societies. Before COVID, they did not run their fall fairs the last couple of years, but previously council had given $500 to both Newstead and Normanby Carrick and to the the Durham Ag Society, excuse me.
Okay. I'm just curious why they've asked for so much more, other than I do see that it's 162nd annual. So it's special, and maybe with the homecoming, it's quite a bit more than we have in the past, but I have no problem with that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions at this point. I will call the vote at this time. All those in favor indicate with a raised hand.
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Okay, 5 members of council voted in favor of this motion. The motion is carried, recognizing Councillor Hamilton's declaration earlier in the meeting for the conflict of interest. We are now moving on to 10.2, items of information. 10.2.1 is Ministry of Solicitor General 2021 compliance results. Any comments? 10.2.2, Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Community Housing Renewal Strategy, again for information. And 10.2.3, Center Grey Health Services Foundation, thank you. Well, those are our items for information. Clerk Sharbuck, to the recommendation, please.
Through Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that council hereby receives all correspondence items not otherwise dealt with.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hamilton. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with a raised hand. Councillor Hergert, how do you vote?
Councillor Hergert.
Could you please state again?
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Okay, so 6 members of council have voted in favor of the motion. The motion is carried. 11, staff reports. Item 11.1, Interim Director of Infrastructure and Public Works. 11.1.1, Awarding of 2022 Contracts. I'll have the clerk read the recommendation. I'll go for a mover and seconder if there's any questions, and then the vote for the staff reports. Clerk Sharbeck to the recommendation, please.
Through Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that report awarding of 2022 contracts be received, and that Director of Infrastructure and Public Works be authorized to execute the necessary tender documents.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Townsend. Questions? Councillor Hutchinson and then Councillor Townsend.
Yeah, I'm just curious, maybe the director can explain the, and maybe you already told us, but where are they putting the hot mix down for the asphalt for the Murray Group?
Certainly.
What road?
Director Glazier, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Hutchinson, in reviewing our road needs and conforming also to our asset management, we've identified two roads, one being Helena Street in Ayton, and the other being Baseline in the former township of Normanby, running from the Minto town line northerly up to Road 49, which is approximately 2.7 kilometers. That section of road is in very need of repair, and we're looking at using those two roads to upgrade for this calendar year.
Okay.
Anything further, Councillor?
No.
Thank you. Councillor Townsend.
Through Madam Mayor, I was just going to thank the director. It looks like he's done a really good job on his tenders, and they came in at a very favorable numbers. So I just thought we should acknowledge that. We always seem to complain when they're too high. We should recognize when they're to our favor as well. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for the director at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. This motion is carried. We are now on to 11.1.2, Garafrax Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project. Clerk Sharbeck to the recommendation, please.
Through you, Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that report Garafrax Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project, tender awarded, be received, and that the Garafrax Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project be awarded to McLean Taylor for a total cost of $1,730,004.69 plus HST, and that the shortfall of $360,287 due to increased costs be taken from the West Grey Capital Reserve.
Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hutchinson, is there a seconder for this motion? Deputy Mayor, questions with regard to this item? Councillor Townsend.
Thank you to you, Madam Mayor, to the director. I'm just wondering about the contingency. Were there specific items that you already have a concern about, Director, or is that just the general practice of having a contingency?
Director Mighton, please. Pardon me, Director Glazier, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Townsend, that is standard practice industry when we're tendering for road projects and major infrastructure. So we're hopeful that that is not going to be relied upon heavily, but I'm just in the report, I'm seeking the full amount, and hopefully we're going to have it reduced and not have surprises when we do the work on the bridge.
Anything further, Councillor?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wondered, would there be a report back to council again on how that contingency was used, or if it was used?
Director?
Through you, Madam Mayor, of course. Once a project is finished, I can bring back a report to council that indicates how much, if any, of the contingency was used for the project.
So,
Thank you. Councillor Hutchinson, please.
Yeah, we were talking about the bridge, right? I don't know if I missed you or I lost your tack there for a little bit. We're talking about the bridge and the construction of the bridge railing, right?
Yes, Councillor Hutchinson, and we're talking about the Garafrax Street Bridge Rehabilitation. And I have you as the mover. Is that still correct on this motion?
Yeah, that's fine. I just
Okay.
lost there for a minute.
Please proceed with your inquiry.
Okay, so first of all, I'm excited. I think this is the new railing. If it looks like the one that they've got there, which is from the Meaford area, looks great. I think it's going to be a nice addition to our community and whatnot. I just wondered. I know it has to be done by October to meet our grant requirements. When do we know when they're going to start? Do we have a start date?
Through you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, please.
Councillor Hutchinson, currently right now, the same company is working on concession 2. Is my understanding that is once they complete that project, they're moving over, and I would anticipate that to be probably early June is when they would commence the work on the Garafrax Street Bridge.
Okay, I know. Just there has been some concern raised about it being under construction during homecoming weekend, but as I suggested, that you have to go with the flow and whatever people can get there, especially with funding and contractors. So that's great. So to follow up on that, so the Lance Bridge should be done probably June. You're saying too.
Through you, Madam Mayor. Actually, the wood products are arriving this week, and is hopefully that the bridge is going to be started to be completed here very shortly. So
I just want to stay on the motion at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything further?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hamilton, please.
Thanks, Mayor Robinson. And this is really exciting that this is moving forward. So congratulations. If I could just check in with staff about the capital reserve, what the balance is, I guess today. Thank you.
Director Mighton, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The general capital reserve with the property sales that we have coming up that have been approved so far to date, I'm estimating that we should still have about just over $1.3 million left in the general capital reserve.
Great. Thank you very much. That's all. Thank you, Mayor Robinson.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions. Does anybody need the motion read again? All those in favor of the motion indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of the motion. The motion is carried. So 11.2 Corporate and Community Initiatives Officer item 11.2.1 Request for Support Veterans Banner Program. I am transferring the chair to the Deputy Mayor, and I will take the chair back following this item. Please go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. If I could go to Clerk Sharbuck to please read the recommendation, and then I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder, and then we'll go to comments and questions.
To you, Deputy Mayor Hutchinson. The recommendation is that council receive report, Recreation, Request for Support, Veterans Banner Program, and that council supports the Veterans Banner Program operated by the Durham Legion Branch 308 through the in-kind use of banner support arms and logistics support in the hanging and removal of the banners to a maximum of 35 banners, 12 Durham, 6 Ayton, 12 Newstead, 5 Elmwood, and that council consider the Legion's request to support the Veterans Banner Program through a monetary donation of blank, I'll leave that for council to fill in, to be paid through grants to organizations.
Thank you, Clerk Sharbuck. Could I get a mover, please? See, Councillor Hamilton, you'd be moving that, and I'd be looking for a seconder now. I see Councillor Hergert's hand. Comments or questions now from council? Councillor Hergert, go ahead, please.
I do have a question, just for clarity. In the report, it talks about the in-kind logistics to support the banner program. is estimated at $2,700 annually. And it states that's to be covered from the urban beautification and economic development budget. So just for clarity, is this coming from economic development or grants to organizations?
Dr. Mighton, do you want to take that one?
All right, yes, through you, Chair. Are you referring to the ongoing 2,700 or if we make a financial contribution?
So is this a $2,700 annually? That's the in kind of actually putting up the banners, is that right? And the request here is for a one-time donation?
Monetary donation, I believe, yes, that's a one-time donation, monetary. That amount would come from your grants to organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Clerk Sharbeck, I see your hand. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Hamilton, I didn't get a number to fill in for the monetary donation when you moved that.
Thank you, Clerk. I will move $500, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton, and thank you, Clerk Sharbeck. Any other comments or questions from council members? Councillor Hamilton, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a comment to say thank you to staff for all the coordinating that you've done with our community members and working together to develop a program for the first time, and one that will fit in with our existing brand new banner program as well. I really appreciate this first step. So thank you to staff.
Okay, thank you. And I see Councillor Hutchinson, your hand's up. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to reiterate that. I think I'm excited about this program. I think it's going to be a great addition to our downtown cores, especially with the flowers. I'm glad to see the schedule of timing when things are going to be up, because that's always been a bit of a bone of contention in the past. People questioning when things go up, when they come down, so on. So I think the schedule is going to be very helpful, and then it's very clear and whatnot. So thanks very much to staff for all the work on that, and look forward to working with everyone. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hutchinson. Any other comments or questions from council member before we call the vote? Okay, so we will call the vote at this time. Does anybody need the recommendation reread? I think it's pretty clear, and I believe the amount put forward by Councillor Hamilton was 500. And I will acknowledge that Mayor Robinson and Councillor Townsend have declared an interest, so it'd just be the four of us. So we could call the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. I see 4 members in favor and none opposed. That motion's carried, and I will transfer the chair back to the mayor. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. We are now on item number 12, questions. In accordance with the West Grade procedural bylaw, members may request clarification or updates on previous agenda items. Is there anything at this time? Thank you. Item 13, bylaws. 13.1 bylaw 38-2022 zoning amendment 214461 Baseline Road, Township of Bentic, Ray. Clerk Sharbeck to the recommendation, please.
Through Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that bylaw 38-2022, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 37-2006 for property known as 214461 Baseline Road, Township of Bentic, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hergert, any questions on the motion? Councillor Hergert, is your hand up for a question? No? Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any other hands up. All those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. This motion is carried. 13.2, bylaw 39-2022, a zoning amendment 775284, Highway 10, Township of Glenelg, Chapmans. Clerk Sharbeck to the recommendation, please.
Through you, Mayor, the recommendation is that bylaw 39-2022, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw 37-2006 for property known as 775284 Highway 10, Township of Glenelg, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hamilton, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Townsend. Questions on the motion? Councillor Townsend? Councillor Townsend, did you have a question on the motion?
No, I didn't. I was just a seconder.
Very good. I'm not seeing any questions. Oh, Councillor Hergert then, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. It mentions a servicing agreement in this bylaw. I have not seen that servicing agreement. I was just curious if we could have an update from staff when we may see that come through.
Our planner Spencer, are you able to respond to this?
Absolutely. Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. This is a holding provision and is a condition of their approval, so to speak, through the zoning amendment. Those discussions are not quite clear right now, but we will have that opportunity to bring that forward to council through a bylaw to remove the holding provision for that specific purpose.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Hergert? No? Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. The motion is carried. 13.3, bylaw 40-2022, council remuneration. Clerk Sharbuck, to the recommendation, please.
To you, Mayor, the recommendation is that bylaw 40-2022, being a bylaw to set remuneration and expenses for members of the council of the municipality of West Gray, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hutchinson, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hamilton. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of the motion. The motion is carried. 13.4, bylaw 41-2022, amended agreement with Product Care Association of Canada. Clerk Sharbuck, to the recommendation, please.
To you, Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that bylaw 41-2022, being a bylaw to authorize an amending material services agreement with Product Care Association of Canada to meet recent changes under Ontario Regulation 449-21, hazardous and special products, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Townsend, questions on the motion? Councillor Hutchinson, was your hand up for a question? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so maybe our director can maybe in a nutshell just explain what are the changes briefly. There's a lot of information there. I don't think there's a whole lot of changes, but maybe if there's anything that might stand out.
Director Glazier, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Hutchinson. So what it involved was a lot of changes, added description, definitions, and there was some minor word changing in the and some actual name changes within the document. So it didn't really change too much other than that they brought it up to speed with current word changes and things like that. So it didn't involve any technical related issues with respect to product care.
Okay.
Go ahead, please. Yep.
Yeah, so this doesn't really affect us too much in terms if we still are planning on doing our own household hazardous waste collection in, forget the date, but there is a date out there, right? So it's not going to affect us in what we do there, right?
Not to my understanding, no.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. All those in favor of the motion indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. This motion is carried. 13.5. Bylaw 42-2022, Elmwood Fire Department Joint Agreement with Municipality of Brockton. Clerk Scharbeck, to the recommendation, please.
Here, Mayor Robinson. The recommendation is that bylaw 42-2022, being a bylaw to amend Schedule A to bylaw 44-2013, being a bylaw to authorize an Elmwood Fire Department joint agreement between the Municipality of West Grey and the Municipality of Brockton, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Townsend. Questions on the motion? Councillor Hergert.
I don't actually have any questions, but I will make a comment as a member of Elmwood Fire Board that this is adding clarity to the area that Elmwood Fire Board services, as well as setting out clarity to the other departments that cover that area as well. So there's just a portion being taken out and a portion that is now going to be the responsibility of Elmwood Fire Department. So I would just ask that we circulate this after we've passed the motion to our own Fire Chief Phil, just for the overlap of information and coverage. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Councillor Townsend, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe there's a word missing on point 5 on the same page as the signatures. Point 5 should read, this amending agreement may be executed by, rather than this amending, maybe. So just a simple correction. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Scharbeck? On that, can we address this as amended?
I would just say we can fix that. It's a typo. We don't have to amend the bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, members of council? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with the raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. The motion is carried. 13.6, bylaw 43-2022, Assume Road, DJ Crescent. Clerk Scharbeck, to the recommendation, please.
Through you, Mayor Robinson. The recommendation is that bylaw 43-2022, being a bylaw to assume certain sections of land into the Municipality of West Grey road system, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Councillor Hamilton. Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Townsend. Questions on the bylaw motion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council voted in favor of this motion. This motion is carried. 13.7, bylaw 44-2022, confirming the proceedings of council. Clerk Scharbeck, to the recommendation, please.
Through you, Mayor Robinson, the recommendation is that bylaw 44-2022, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council, be read a first, second, and third and final time.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, and as seconder, I'll take Councillor Hergert. Questions to the motion? All those in favor then indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council voted in favor of this motion. This motion is carried. New business on item 14. 14.1, notice of motion, Owen Sound Police Service quote. It's moved by Councillor Townsend. Do you wish to read your motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whereas West Grey Council approved on December 21st, 2021, requesting an OPP costing with the intent of assisting West Grey Council to learn about and identify other possible levels of policing services for consideration due to the high cost of the current service level of policing services. And whereas West Grey Council approved on February 15th, 2022, the request by Owen Sound Police Services to provide a quote for an amalgamated police service model to West Grey. And whereas upon further reflection subsequent to the discussion with Chief Craig Ambrose, Owen Sound Police at the West Grey Council meeting held on March 15th, 2022, to have Owen Sound Police Services provide a quote for an amalgamated policing service model does not support West Grey's intent to learn about and identify other possible levels of policing services for consideration. Therefore, West Grey Council directs staff to advise Chief Craig Ambrose, Owen Sound Police, that West Grey Council will not pursue the request for Owen Sound Police Services to provide a quote for an amalgamated policing service model for policing in West Grey at this time. And I would like to talk to it after, Madam Mayor.
Sure. Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hergert, are you seconding this motion?
Councillor Hergert, yes.
Okay. Councillor Townsend, you wish to speak to the motion? Please go ahead. But before you do, Clerk Scharbeck, I will be asking for a recorded vote. Go ahead, Councillor Townsend.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The motion was put together prior to seeing the agenda here and a few other events that have occurred, and that's just a timing issue. At the March 15th meeting as well, the CAO commented on the requirement to potentially do an RFP, which would result in anyone who wished to participate could, if they express an interest. And also the items that we approved for Owen Sound Police was to provide a quote separately outside the OPP, outside the RFP, and also to do it by a certain date. And the response back from the Owen Sound Police was to actually have us give them some guidance. So that's really what I'm suggesting that we wouldn't have to do if we do the RFP. The other thing is I wanted to clarify with the CAO, based on the timeline chart we have, about the process that we'll go through with the actual RFP, meaning to ensure that everyone gets to, I think it was called, release of expression of interest, so they get that chance to do it, and also to comment on when the material will be ready from the municipality, recognizing that that is our responsibility. If in fact we get those answers, we may not need this motion. But again, I would like to receive those responses from the CEO if we could before deciding whether to withdraw it or leave it on the table. Thank you.
Madam CAO, please.
Yes, through Mayor Robinson, and good evening, Council. Thank you, Councillor Townsend, for that question. I'm happy to confirm that an expression of interest would be prepared and released from the municipality sometime next week, and certainly before the end of April. That would be the first step in this process. Anyone interested would register with us, and we would be releasing a bid package mid-May, which would have all of the information that they need about our current policing model, which would include, staffing numbers, vehicles, those kinds of questions, so that everyone receives that at the same time. The deadline would be determined in the expression of interest so that everyone is working toward the same deadline. And simultaneously, we would be releasing an RFP for the cost consultant so that we wouldn't lose any time on that piece of the project as well.
Anything further, Councillor Townsend?
It's a follow-up, if you don't mind, please, Madam Mayor. So when I look at the timeline, it identifies as the proposal would take 16 weeks to come back. Is that a real number? Because it only shows step 3 would be where all the data is available, which you just said would be May 13th. So step 4 and 5, which is actually getting their proposal and contracts back, are only 8 weeks. So that would be sometime in July, is that correct? Not September?
Madam CAO?
Through you, Mayor Robinson. Councillor Townsend, you're referring to the timeline that the OPP have provided, which is also on their website. So there are a number of steps in there. My calculations are based on that timeline. So while we would have the bid package available for the mid-May release, we would still provide the same amount of time for everyone according to that OPP timeline. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, the weeks are spelled out. There's a number of steps that each agency would likely need to do, including site visits and those sorts of things. So some of the scheduling would have to fit into that's step 3 and 4 schedule.
Councillor Townsend, I just want to let you know that your audio is getting choppy. So I just wanted to alert you to that. I may have to ask you for clarity on what you're speaking about. Is there anything further at this time?
That is fine. Though I would like to withdraw the motion then, because I think we have the information and just suggest that staff advise if they're contacted by Chief Ambrose that it will be an RFP process. Thank you.
Clerk Charbeck, could you just please assist with the withdrawal procedure?
Through Mayor Robinson, it's been moved and seconded. So it would have been ideal to remove it before it's seconded, but at this point, if the mover, Councillor Townsend,
Yes.
Has stated he wishes to withdraw it, it would be up to the seconder, Councillor Hergert, if she would also like to withdraw it. Otherwise, we'll proceed with the vote.
So we have an indication from Councillor Townsend that he would like to withdraw his motion. As the seconder, Councillor Hergert, do you agree with the withdrawal?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, we have a confirmation from both the mover and seconder to withdraw this motion. Is there anything further we need procedurally, Clerk Charbeck?
No, that's it.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. 14.2 is the next item that we're dealing with. Motion of support, Beavercrest Community School. This is moved by Councillor Townsend. Do you care to read your motion?
Mayor, I will.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I move that Westbury Council hereby supports the resolution of the Municipality of Grey Highlands dated March 2nd, 2022 regarding Beavercrest Community School, wherein they resolve to provide a letter of support to the Ministry of Education for approval of additional 92 pupil spaces for the new Beavercrest Community School in Market.
Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hutchinson. Any questions on the motion? Councillor Townsend and then Councillor Hergert.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that it was part of our March 15th agenda package, and this was a notice of motion that is coming forward today. Just timing, but in case anyone wanted to review that ahead of time, that's where it is. Thank you.
Thank you. We did have correspondence from Grey Highland with regard to this matter that was put on our correspondence. And as a result, we have this notice of motion before us today. All right, Councillor Hergert, did you have your hand up? Councillor Hergert, did I see your hand? Perhaps I'm mistaken.
No comment at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak to this item? Okay, we have a mover and seconder. All those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. The motion is carried. We are now moving on to 14.3, notice of support, joint and several liability reform, moved by Councillor Hergert. Councillor Hergert, would you care to read your motion, and then I will get a seconder.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. That West Grey Council hereby supports the resolution of the Municipality of Mississippi Mills dated March 15th, 2022, wherein they call upon the Attorney General of Ontario to work with municipal governments to put forward a plan of action to address joint and several liability before the end of the government's current term, and note their support for the recommendations contained in the AMO submission towards a reasonable balance addressing growing municipal liability and insurance costs to reestablish the priority for provincial action on this issue.
Is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hamilton? Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this motion or have clarity on this motion? Did I see your hand, Councillor Townsend? No? Okay. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this? All right, then. All those in favor? Oh, yes. Councillor Hergert, please go ahead.
Sorry, I believe there is some sort of delay in my hand and so on, but I would like to speak to this item as the beginning of January, AMO had put a call to action to the lower tier governments to put this motion before the provincial government prior to proroguing for, now we know, a provincial election coming soon. But there's been a tremendous amount of work by the AMO board, as well as our own municipality, to advocate that joint and several liability be limited in insurance claims. And so this has been noted as one of the reasons that insurance premiums continue to rise. We know there are many reasons why insurance premiums continue to rise, but this is one that is most certainly within our sphere of jurisdiction, and most certainly within the cost for our own municipal taxpayers to bear. So I believe that we have advocated through parliamentary advisors at AMO on this item, and through AMO is bringing forward this resolution to garner support for municipalities and for the province to come together and plan the course of action on joint and several liability and restrictions to that. So I believe as AMO gathers the information and they spread that message to the municipalities, and we have a representative in between us and the province when they are formulating legislation and plans. So I think it is important that we show our support in this supporting resolution, and that we push the provincial government prior to an election to come to a conclusion on joint and several liability and how to reduce the impacts to municipal government.
Is there anyone
Thank
else
you.
who wishes to speak to this item? Thank you, Councillor Hergert. Does anybody else who wish to speak to this item? All those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor. The motion is carried. We're now dealing with item 15, announcements. In accordance with the West Grade procedural bylaw, comments are not debatable, nor shall they introduce new business. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. Is there any announcements at this time? Councillor Hutchinson. Yes, Councillor Hutchinson, please go ahead.
Yes, I'd just like to remind our audience that this is Earth Week, and Friday is Earth Day. I encourage people to go out and help clean up some garbage in their area if they haven't already done so. I know there's a number of people in the community that do this on a regular basis, and have already started ours in our area. So I hope that people will take part to make it a little easier. The West Grey does have orange garbage bags, which are available at the office, which you can phone and make arrangements to pick up some of those, and use those and leave them at the side of the road, and let the office know where you were working, and therefore you can, Public Works will pick up the bags of garbage. So encourage people to do that. It all helps to alleviate the problem, and I think maybe the mayor had some additional information on that item if she wants to share. Thank you.
Councillor Hutchinson, you did an amazing job on that. Just watch for our website, our social media, for any information. But thank you for bringing that forward, Councillor Hutchinson. Is there anything further from our members of council? Seeing none, we're now moving on to item 16, which is closed session. This is an NA for today's agenda. And with item 17, report from closed session, this too is an NA. So at item 18, the adjournment. Clerk Scharbeck to the recommendation, please.
To you, Mayor Robinson. The recommendation is that we do now adjourn at 6:56 p.m. to meet again on May 3rd, 2022, or at the call of the chair.
Is there a mover for this motion? Deputy Mayor, is there a seconder for this motion? Councillor Hergert. All those in favor indicate with a raised hand. 6 members of council have voted in favor of this motion. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. There's still much daylight. Enjoy the evening, and we'll see one and all once again. Bye now.
Thank you, Blue Jay fans and Maple Leaf fans. Appreciate the short meeting. Thank you.